Hello there, my friend. It is Amy Plano, the Reimbursement Dietitian. I help simplify the reimbursement process for registered dietitians and CNSs accepting insurance in their practice. And today I wanted to talk very briefly about a question I get a ton, which is what does it mean when the insurance companies tell me the patient has 3 visits, the patient has unlimited visits, the patient has 10 visits, but as long as it's medically necessary. So I think a lot of dietitians get confused and they think that the term medical necessity actually means that somebody else, aside from them, needs to document or pre-authorize this patient to be seen for the visit. But medical necessity simply means that you, as the expert in nutrition, has established a care plan that is consistent with the standards in which we would expect for somebody seeing this patient in terms of their diagnosis. And let me just give some examples, because I think when I give examples, it makes it clearer. So say, for example, you were seeing a patient with an eating disorder, okay? And it was pretty severe, right? They were really in it. It wasn't like they were in recovery and still kind of managing it, but they were actively, in with their eating disorder. Okay, you would more than likely be seeing that patient weekly based on the standards of care or the nutrition care process revolving around eating disorders. Okay, right? So it wouldn't be seen abnormal from the insurance company if you saw that patient more frequently, like I said, per week, versus say you have a patient who has a new diagnosis of celiac disease, right? They may present for a handful of times for some education, and they probably need ongoing education revolving celiac disease if it's a new diagnosis. But it might be atypical if you were seeing that patient every single week for an hour on end for several months, right? So a lot of times what the insurance company is saying is there a valid reason for the duration, the frequency, and the interventions that you are providing the patient. A lot of times they say that on a quote of benefits, but the only time they may ask for it would be if they did a medical audit and they are looking for medical necessity. And the cool thing is, my friends, most registered dietitians and CNSs, we have been very well schooled on documentation. And I know a lot of dietitians freak out about documentation, but I don't want you to, because it is very rare that I see a note that does not demonstrate medical necessity. With that being said, the insurance companies do not have a standard of care relative to what style of charting you need to do for medical necessity. And so it does not necessarily always have to have a PES statement. You're charting and documenting based on whatever you're most comfortable with and consistent with. They're not looking for a particular style per se, but they are looking for medical necessity. And just to clarify, you are defining that. And if you coordinate care with a therapist, with an endocrinologist, with other providers, that is amazing. But we're not solely relying on them for the medical necessity for our patients. We're using them to support, the reasons, the backgrounds, the information that we need to make the best evidence-based recommendations. But when the insurance company says medical necessity, they're looking to you as a nutrition expert to make sure that the care in which you are providing is consistent with the standards associated with a patient with that particular disease. So hopefully that helps. I know it can be super confusing. These are all things I cover in my course. I go over documentation very, very emphatically and detailed. But if you're looking just for a quick overview of documentation, I'll put the link below. You may want to check out my How to Ace Your Insurance Audit Masterclass. It goes through a lot of these same topics as well. So hopefully this helps. As always, if you love this content, subscribe to the channel, because I generally will produce content like this on a weekly basis. Thanks so much for listening.